enough smokes to do it. Both of these teams dropping off of that. Player one moving over to the Omen.
Yeah, I think Omen's incredibly powerful on this map. I think it's in part to exactly what you say. There's less ground to have to cover in terms of smoke, so having explosiveness from something like a Brimstone provides slightly less value. But also, Omen's paranoias on this map are large enough that they can hit whole corridors. If you're pushing something like Tree, an Omen smoke's going to block the entire corridor, and it's going to be absolutely massive for any sort of aggressive push that you're sending out.
Well, talking about aggressive pushes, Hazed has already gone down to mid. Drone gets aggressive, though. Again, trading one out here. TSM pulling out that patented aggression. The A site's already been given up, though. Gen.G get the spike down, and they've got even numbers to work with while doing it.
Yeah, Gen.G making quick work to get on the site and planting their sort of the generator default location. This is going to be a plant that we see time and time again on this map. There have been historical tourney matches that TSM has played where we have literally seen over 80% of plants inside of a single map play at this location.
Oh my goodness, TSM are mowing people down left and right. Player one, though, still has the ideal angle on this spike. Wardell takes him down, though, finishes off the round. 3 members alive for TSM. And with Gen.G having this Sage still in their competition, TSM not running the Sage, how do you think that makes these two teams differ?
I think that what that's ultimately going to mean is that Gen.G on offense should have quite a few more options on the table. One thing that is very tricky about this map, so I just brought up the fact that generator default A push is going to be sort of the best push for offense to take. You'll often have 2 people pushing up A main, 3 people pushing up catwalk. You'll take tree control, you'll plant generator, and push to a post plant default where you'll have 1 person in A main. On the B side, it's much harder to take map advantage, and so having access to a sage wall to boost up and use those windows out of the fish market is incredibly valuable and opens up a secondary execute option for your team.
Well, they only need 1 execute option right now for Gen.G, and it continues to be the option of going with A. This time, though, a 4-man cat stack, and that is not what you want to see if you're TSM. Sub, though, mows one down, is going to be able to rotate back on the site, and now things get awkward for Gen.G. They can't move on the site like they wanted to. They've got to play around in gardens here. Wardell, though, finds 3 with a ghost in quick succession, looking to clean up even more, but with that, that's going to stunt the growth of Gen.G. Just player one on the Omen left. We've seen this guy make miracles happen so far, but stopping Wardell when he's feeling himself is going to require more than that.
Geez, a cute variation on that sort of 2-3 push that I just mentioned on A. Gen.G instead opting for a 4-man push up through catwalk, quickly taking tree, and then even sending multiple players towards defender spawn to preemptively stop rotations. Wardell's having absolutely none of it, though, and picks up a quad, putting him 7-0 with an op in round 3. This is not what Gen.G wanted to see.
No, this map is effectively a playground for Wardell as well. All these nice little sight lines, such close rotations. This guy can move and schmoove his way around this map however, whenever he wants. And I feel like this A site is going to be especially hard to take just because of him. You can see already repositioning. Up to heaven he goes. He's going to feel out the rotate yet again here from Gen.G, who don't have all that much map control. Subroza's already pushed through B. There aren't that many options. You're just stuck between a shock dart and a Subroza. I'm not sure which one I'd rather fall to at that point.
Yeah, MkaeL in the worst of situations, there are absolutely no outs. That's the kind of checkmating with utility that we love to see in this game. People like to complain about ability kills here and there, but that kill only happened because his options were between taking an extremely disadvantaged gunfight or dying.
Options are great, but Hazed still in the way. Player one's going to take him down as they work their way back into B, and this is the opening they need. They need to be aggressive here. They need to be explosive, but they're not quite taking the bait yet here. They're walking over towards B, and with that, TSM should get there first, get Wardell set up, and now things get bad for Gen.G as they push into his welcoming hands. No! TSM rotate away. They doubt themselves for just a second too long. Let's get a lot of smoke to come in. That denies the sightlines of Wardell. And now you have to see Drone come in. No, he isn't able to. Huynh shuts him down. Wardell pushes through the smoke to find absolutely nothing. Spike goes down. Now a man advantage here for Gen.G. This is not great for TSM, who look like they're just going to opt to hold on to that operator.
Yeah, I think at this point, TSM broke their rotation a little bit and dropped to a 1-1-1 spread default, sort of waiting for Gen.G's recommittal. And at that point, they got one more pick and the round was over. At this point, stabilizing their economy and making sure that they don't drop too much of an advantage early in the half is going to be of much higher value to them.
Yeah, you wouldn't want something like the last game happening where you get the salty run back from Gen.G. This time, though, it's not going to be Gen.G winning the second round. It's going to be Gen.G taking away the third, which they're more than happy about. They solidify their economy. They win the gun round. They win it with 4 members alive, mind you. They had almost little to none economic damage done to them, which means they can now carry on to this round feeling very, very good about the future of this map.
Yeah, coincidentally, you even have over on the side of Gen.G, MkaeL on such a poor economy that he has to be bought in by a teammate. On the flip side, though, you have TSM sitting pretty still, showing that that save was definitely the right call.
Yeah, it solidifies their economy. They're feeling all right. They've got another gun round to back this one up, but this round becomes incredibly important because of that. Player 1 has the ultimate online. They're from the shadows, can be strong. It's all based on how they play this defense. TSM have been playing not exactly aggressively, not the same way that they were over on Haven. They've been holding their angles, waiting for them to come on in. And Gen.G are more than happy to take the time. They haven't been timed out yet, and they haven't really lost too much map control either.
Taking space on Ascent as a map is generally going to be super difficult. The offense is going to have a pretty easy time pushing up to sort of their default bounds, and getting map control is typically going to be dictated by whether or not you take Cat into tree or force up mid into the pizza area and then take market towards B. Those are really the main options that teams are presented with.
Nice trade in mid there is going to give Gen.G that map control that you noted was so difficult to get. Now they've wrapped their way all the way around A. They're going to outnumber the players here, and Wardell has a ton of work to do here, as if he even finds out that MkaeL is there, gets domed from behind. Now just a couple members hiding out along sight. Subroza making sure they don't get traded out too easily here. Jones going to clean up one more. Another stops to push for a moment, but the spike will go down here, and it's 1v1 heading into post plant.
This is what's so dangerous about seeding that mid control, is not only does it give access to B site, but if you're not careful, you can get teams fully flanking you, and we see that here with Wardell as he gets picks off for absolutely free in garden, and ultimately gives up the site, forcing this 1v1.
And he knows it's either going to be behind generator or underground. Huynh beats him early. Beautifully playing the 1v1 and evening up the score here for Gen.G, who are looking a lot more stable than they were in the previous game.
Yeah, Gen.G coming out of the gates a heck of a lot faster than they were last map, and it's glad to see. It shows that they're mental as a team, absolutely unshaken. We see plenty of veterans on their roster, so it's as expected, but nonetheless always good to see. This map is got a long way to go.
Yeah, there's so much to still be found. Wardell has gone down early enough in this game that I feel like it's possible. Huynh still finding those early frags, but TSM, they've decided it is time to get aggressive. The run it back goes down, but they're not done with this one yet. I suspect there might be another flash around this corner, because Subroza never goes until he gets taken out by the paint shell. Immediately cuts my words off. Gen.G with some nice counter aggression.
This is a really interesting play out of TSM just from a macro perspective. Wardell was forced onto a pretty shaky economic situation, and so instead he opted to save here, playing off of his ultimate. The play is eventually rewarded, where one of his teammates drops, he's left with a gun, so the save is validated, but in a way that's ultimately kind of salty, as they're now facing a 4v5.
Yeah, it's not exactly good. It's just kind of bad with like a silver lining mixed in there. The sandwich maybe having a couple of things on it that they like, but the one thing that Gen.G gets from that is mid control, happily given up by TSM, and now Gen.G headed over towards B, looking to get his foot in with just the Rays lurking around towards A. Gonna make a bit of noise again. That fake smoke over towards A has become a bit of a trick that people have been playing up against TSM, and one that they've fallen for numerous times. The execute here onto B comes out. It is just Cutler in the way, not able to shut down Effys, who's been a nut on the stage the entire night. Spike should be going down. We're heading into post plant 3v5.
And this is exactly what I was talking about earlier, where Gen.G bringing the Sage to the table gave them access to what just happened. That Sage boost in Fish, giving them access to the entire site. B as a site is very typically held by Cyphers, and it's almost impenetrable. Having that high angle is critical to be able to make executes like this actually feasible.
Stay down.
GMD as well has kind of locked things out by maintaining that mid control. What a beautiful execute from Gen.G as well, using the smoke across the map to make sure that that rotation didn't come through too early. It's starting to feel like they're evening out on the weapon duels and then beating them strategically. However, not out of the woods yet. TSM threatening on every round. We saw it in the previous map. Even on eco rounds, these guys are serious threats, all with sheriffs in their hand. It's not something I want to be facing up against. I'll tell you that much, Anderzz.
Absolutely not. And we've seen time and time again that TSM can absolutely take these kind of ecos. We've seen the multi-kill shorty pop off out of Wardell. So despite the fact that we do see TSM on an eco here, Gen.G is definitely not out of the woods.
And we see very, very similar play most rounds from Gen.G. It's pressure towards A, and then they decide to rotate after that. But they make sure they get map control over there, not letting TSM ever push up catwalk. Drone takes down one with the sheriff, but the action immediately stops here as GMD looking for the repeat with a Phantom. Not going to be finding much of a duel here. We'll be able to get healed up by the Sage. Paranoia through the walls. TSM are looking to get aggressive, but no one wants to take these duels except for Effys, who willingly takes down Cutler, gets the resurrect up, trying to drop the flames to get his way back on the site here, trading out a few. Gen.G yet again, though, all over this kill feed. Wardell gets one for his issues, but 4-2 is a scoreline. Gen.G solidifying their economy once again.
Yeah, ultimately, though, I think that was a phenomenal eco out of TSM, forcing 2 kills and getting the res out. I don't think that's something they're going to be particularly upset about. Obviously, going down 2-4 is not something they'll be super keen on, but I think there's definitely a silver lining here, and TSM has ample opportunity to come back into this half.
Yeah, so many chances, and this is going to be one of the most important ones because Wardell has that operator back in his hands. So much of a threat. This time going to be controlling mid, making sure they don't give away the catwalk again. It's been something that Gen.G have been favoring because they know Wardell does not have the operator work with it. Now, though, very, very aggressive towards that A side. This time, no fakes, no games, just guns here as they make their way onto site. They execute out. Huynh immediately connects with the right click, looking for more, running straight for the backline. Wardell knows what's coming, but is he ready for it? The aggressive pick, just gonna smoke that one off, drop the spike on site. Good heads up play. You don't want to get caught out with that one. Hazed has already wrapped his way all the way around. Spike going down here for Gen.G. Curly up, one player make that 2. We're looking to even things out with the operator. Is gonna connect at least one shot, wrapping his way around the site. Cutler not able to do much, but it seems like yet again, it's gonna have to be the save for these 2. Gen.G have locked down that A site.
Yeah, Huynh coming out there swinging with the Jet ultimate, doing some massive damage, and it looks like TSM, after they just got Wardell back onto the operator, is not looking to give it up.
Yeah, it's all the way back in B, which now we can start talking about a little bit more of what's going on tactically here. Gen.G have pulled the same play almost every round. It has been A control, A control, A control. They have been completely foregoing mid outside of the rounds when they know Wardell is not going to have an operator, and even then, they still put in the A control. They mix in a couple rotates late round here and there whenever they see a little bit too much resistance from TSM. But the big thing for Gen.G is, even if they start losing, even if they feel like it, they've always got the B execute up their sleeve, and this might just be the round to pull it out.
Absolutely. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, is that on this map, A is the go-to site to plan. We have seen situations where teams play it almost exclusively. A match that comes to mind is back in one of the more recent Ignition Series events. In a grand final, T1 ran something like 9 A plants back-to-back. Just 9 rounds straight. That's how much more favorable A site is on this map for the offense.
Well, the B is not looking nearly as favorable as Wardell has an operator in their hands. Good paranoia, though, by player 1. Takes him off the angle, allows Huynh to take him down, gets him onto the site, and gets this plant inbound. It's a quick rotate from TSM, but quick is not quick enough. Effys takes down Subroza, and now the numbers are looking great for Gen.G here, up one player. The B site so difficult to retake, so many angles to check, and so many crossfires to worry about. GMD is effectively playing super duper aggressive on this site, moving around pretty much the entire time. Good job by player one. They're avoiding the arrow to spot him out. GMD though going down regardless. Effys is on the flank though, and they don't have a clue. One falls, the second is able to win out the duel. Drone does it, but with the timer taking him down, it is not a good place for TSM to be. They don't find the player hiding around the corner, but one in the backside is going to be incredibly hard to remove. Huynh makes it count with the operator. Drone trading it out, but there's no time on the clock, is there? He's got it.
What a phenomenal 4K from Drone there to clutch out that round. Right after his drone got denied, giving them no information on the fact that they had someone holding that tight right corner against them. Huynh picking him up as they push the site to clear that corner, and Drone just cleans house to ultimately give them the round.
And that's the kind of clutch play they need. If you're going to run an entire team full of star players like this, you want them to be showing up. Drone's been doing it all day. Wardell's been doing a fantastic job, but it has not been enough. Look at Cutler, someone who we praised earlier for being a solid player that is constantly rotating, constantly helping out their team, and always around the map. He's playing the Cypher, someone you expect to be a solid anchor, but that's just not the way he plays on it. And you can see that right now, really, really struggling to be that anchor. In fact, they're going to shift him over to the A site here as Gen.G gets cheeky in towards mid. GMD sneaking it out, but does not see the player around the corner. Throws him both down two. Should be even getting a third here. Nope, GMD shuts him down, gets a second, but they've lost a lot of players along the way. 2v3 and very little map control here for Gen.G.
That Cutler as an anchor here, like you mentioned, it's not necessarily that he's struggling, it's that Gen.G is throwing such an abnormal strategy set at TSM that the typical way you would use Cypher on the map is less valid. Cypher at his best on this map is going to be playing sort of a solo B-site anchor. The way he can set up trapwires on that map, on that particular site, on this map rather, is incredibly hard to deal with. But Gen.G has the answer to that. Cypher as an agent overall is slightly devalued because of that, and so they're now having to experiment with how they settle him, sending him to A to potentially introduce another aberrant strategy that Gen.G might not be able to preempt and might not have some sort of canned answer for.
Get out of my way!
And I think this is a difficulty for TSM. It's the same as in prior maps. It's being able to control the tempo the entire time. On a map like this, it's Gen.G who have control, who get to hold their utility too late, who get to wait for later on in the round because they can afford to chip away at those health bars, get a couple kills. You're going to have the res, you're going to have the heal online to make sure everything's all right. Now with no operator in Wardell's hand, they're back at their catwalk shenanigans. Things getting aggressive, but two players holding in mid. Subroza's been found out. You know exactly where one of these players is, and they still just completely own the A half of the map. Trading out one. No! Misses on the shot. Effys gets himself two. Wardell pops the Blaze Storm, trying to find a little something here. Not much to be found, though. Makes his way through. Gets one. But how much more can you actually get through your efforts when Gen.G own the entire map? Push through the smoke. No more value to be found by the star player. And with that, the spike should go down. 3v1 here for Cutler. I don't think a kill to his name in this map, and he's got to clutch it out.
Yeah. Retake Cypher, never the position you want to be in, and he just never had a chance there.
And yep, still not a kill to his name. 0-6. Remember how much we were praising this guy earlier, and it was because he was playing well with Wardell. He's not playing with his teammates though. The guy's such a good team player, but as an anchor, I don't think he's been doing it today on the Cypher, especially like you mentioned on this map, the way that Gen.G are playing, it's incredibly difficult. He's constantly playing retakes. He's constantly playing catch up with these players. Hazed has been trying to get cheeky on the Omen, trying to push his way through smokes and teleport here and there, but every single time Gen.G are expecting it, waiting for it, and always connecting their shots onto him. Gen.G seem to have the ticket for this half, 2 rounds remaining in it, and they've got the guns to make them count.
Yeah, Gen.G really running away with this first half at this point. On a decided map, this is crazy to see. It's starting to make me salivate a little bit over the prospect of a third map. Watching these guys duke it out yet again would be a treat, but TSM...
Oh no, they're not going to see each other.
Oh no, 2 ships in the night.
This is awkward. The push is going over to A regardless. It's just going to mean that the Cypher is a little out of order. They don't see each other again. They pass each other. They have no clue. They're cheek to cheek on B site and have no clue about each other. The A-Take's been completely successful. No spike going down quite yet here for Gen.G, though, making him dance his drone. Popping the Hunter's Fury on site. Doesn't get anything. Instead, it's Cutler going down. Finally over by B. Drone trades went out, getting a little bit more control here over towards the window. Pops himself back up onto balcony. But it's 1 versus 4. A seemingly familiar position here for the TSM side. One that they have not managed to win quite yet. And Huynh will shut them down yet again.
Ending the exact same way as what we just saw with Cutler. The lone man trying to make the retake. And Huynh is just waiting from A main. Snipes him out from heaven. That's that.
You know what's crazy though is TSM are now on a force buy round, and I see them. I see Hazed with not much in his inventory. Wardell is gonna have a judge in this one, and this is kind of the round that, in my gut, I feel like TSM win way more often than they should. They come out, they get aggressive, and they play with weapons that Gen.G don't expect them to have. So look for some creative positioning, especially from Wardell in this round.
Absolutely agree. It goes back to sort of a concept that's used in War of all things pretty frequently, and that's that if you're cornered, you have no option other than to win. And when you see TSM in these force buy situations with their back against the walls is when they really start to shine.
There it is, Subroza getting aggressive, and finally some of that patented TSM play comes out on the B side of the map where we haven't really seen them. Matter though of what Gen.G do after this. They've given themselves mid control. They've given themselves to rotate wherever they want. Seems like they're poking and prodding towards the B side, but this doesn't really guarantee anything until they finally make that move. The members of TSM have a good read on this, starting to rotate already. It's so patient, our Gen.G.
Might be looking at the reverse of what we saw last map. Gen.G might be picking up a 9-3 half here. Getting a little bit of deja vu.
Well, it's not 9 points yet. Huynh gets aggressive on site, misses the right click on the Cutler, finally finding his first kill of the game. GMD gonna take him down immediately after though and ruin his fun. Full members lying on site here. Spike is down, but 1 versus is 2. GMD needs to clutch it out, drops underneath, but Hazed is going to take him down with the semi-auto, and we called it, Anderzz. It's going to be the awkward half eco buy round from TSM that does it again.
Where I come from, we call that the caster curse. I say the 9-3, and TSM decides they aren't having it. Pushing it to a fairly alright half. I mean, definitely not what TSM wanted to see. Gen.G's got to be happy with that. And where they have the Sage and they're now on defense, the stall options that's going to give them access to, completely shutting out A main should they desire, you have to think that they're feeling absolutely fantastic.
After the previous map, absolutely, but the sides change and things also will drastically. A defender-sided map here for Gen.G. They've got the utility to hold it, but they've got a few more rounds before they're actually closed out, not to mention the fact that TSM are playing an uncharacteristically slow pistol round.
Yeah, an interesting spread of offense for TSM here. With 3 towards Fish.
Oh my god, that was aggressive from Huynh, but it pays off. You go 1 for 1. It's going to favor the attackers a little bit because now you're playing an information game. One that Gen.G just don't have as much of, but they have gained control of Garage. And they have taken out the Phoenix. Now a lot of that entry frag potential is going to be gone as TSM decide they want to commit to the B side of the map.
Yeah, Huynh there coming out with a ridiculous offensive tailwind. Manages to trade out 1 for 1, everything said and done. But now TSM is starting to gravitate to a somewhat more centralized position as opposed to that slow, deeply spread default we saw them with originally. And it looks like they're going back to that tried and true A plan.
Cage trigger.
No surprises there, but again, Drone shuts it down. Headshot onto Effys. Drone will fall. Wardell trades one out, grabs a spike, looking to put it down ASAP. 30 seconds on the clock. And it is Gen.G, pardon me, with 2 players against the 3 of TSM, all lurking on site, all with crossfires, all in such threatening positions. how can they actually deal with this? It doesn't seem likely, as so many of these angles have been covered properly. Gen.G yet again, though, waiting for the spike to tick down. It's a matter of time, though, before they have to press the go button.
Yeah, TSM in the post plant here, and Hazed comes up big to secure them the round, making sure that Gen.G doesn't start to peel away too much in their defensive half.
Yeah, you're not exactly surprised by that hold. The positioning was just too strong. The typical A take works out yet again. Drone is still at the top of the kill feed. Wardell, in fact, is still at the top of the kill feed. TSM individually have not had bad games. I don't think Cutler is necessarily having a bad game himself. It's just playing Cypher on this map and the way that Gen.G are playing, you're just going to struggle to actually get things done. Now on the attack, though, it is equally as hard to do so. I don't think TSM necessarily have it any easier for having swap sides, but for winning that pistol round, they absolutely will. Aggression here from Gen.G down mid, just gonna get mowed down by Hazed, padding his stats right on up to Gen.G. 1 versus 4, it's not gonna happen, I'm afraid. TSM make the score one closer to being even.
Yeah, TSM making the comeback here, gathering momentum in a hurry. We'll see how long they can carry it.
Well, carrying momentum is one thing, but you've only got 2 rounds worth of it really to carry. I think the weapon round here is going to matter a lot with Wardell and an operator. How aggressive does he get? Pushing all the way forward into garage will not be met by Huynh and their operator in mid. Instead, just by the stage, the slow warp in, immediately a flashbang out. Subroza punishes the aggression from Effys with the submachine gun in hand, drops the wall, drops everything onto this B push. That is going to be incredibly quick. One member in the back of sight, still just meant to take over. Player 1 falls though, and with that, Gen.G are playing the retake game. In fact, they're playing the run and hide game, as they want to just make sure they have those weapons for next round.
Exact opposite of what Gen.G wants to see on their defensive configurations. You saw Effys set up perfectly to deny this fast push, and yet he gets caught out as he's trying to cross fish and get into that cheeky close right angle. Doesn't get to Sage Wall, doesn't get any sort of sight denial, and TSM just runs full long onto B.
Now, 3 members, a saved economy, but rounds slipping away from their fingers. You can't help but ask yourself, is the same thing happening to Gen.G that happened to TSM in the previous game? Part of me is kind of starting to think, yes, this defense does not seem that strong on a map that should be favoring them. It really isn't. Why do you think that is, Anderzz? Is there anything in particular that Gen.G could look to correct?
That ultimately, in this second half, the reason that we've seen such an acute momentum swing is, of course, them losing the pistol, sort of donating to TSM that second round, and then in the following rounds, seeing really just catastrophic trades coming out from TSM as soon as round starts. We saw that huge spray down from Hazed as they were trying to push into mid, and then we saw that unlucky timing with Effys being dropped. We need to see rounds from them where they're on a full buy and there isn't just some Murphy's Law fringe scenario shutting down their offense before it can even start.
Well, there's nothing Murphy's Law about that. It's just Effys' wall stopping this push for the time being. The slow orb put in as well. A lot of utility being used over here at B. They're so scared of what happened in the previous round. The rush is always going to be an opportunity that TSM want to take and want to take aggressively, but opting not to back their way out of mid. Understand that Gen.G have used a lot of utility to get here, and with that, they're going to kind of delay themselves out to the point where that Sageless composition might start biting them in the butt.
Definitely, and we see here exactly what Effys wanted to do last round. A quick shutdown of the fast push, and now there's enough time for them to get rotations out.
Well, rotations may be nice, but they don't guarantee kills. Effys, though, starting to put him up in the feed. Subroza creeping around the backside of this point. Do the defenders know here? Effys holding the angle, not able to catch one, misses the head, drone takes him down. Now side control's been given over to TSM, 2 versus 3, but they've got the spike down to work with. Things get a little awkward here for Gen.G as they've only got 2 places to move through and a lot of angles to cover. Both TSM members holding on one side, shifting from one to the other, but drone falling means there's just one in the back of sight. They can just trade this guy out, and they should be all right. No! Subroza lines them up and pops the heads. 3 to his name, 8-8 the score, and TSM are all tied up.
You hate to see it. Both Gen.G players, they're lining themselves up, and they just get absolutely blasted from Boathouse. You almost feel like they couldn't decide which was going to push Boathouse, which was going to go for sticking the defuse, and instead, Subroza just makes the decision for them, shuts them both down, takes the round.
Yeah, there's definitely some miscommunications there from the Gen.G side. And at a critical time, that would have been such a nice round for them to win. But now they're sitting down around, again, using all the utility early. But this is just to stop or run it back, which is even crazier. In the meantime, TSM are taking mid control. They're taking down GMD, and they're gaining so much more on the opposite side of the map.
Yeah, this is exactly how TSM can answer the fact that Gen.G has a Sage. If Effys is too quick with his trigger finger on that barrier orb and with those slow orbs, he could just bait them out. And at this point, Gen.G is going to be scrambling to deal with TSM's offense going towards A.
There's not much they can actually do to stop this. It has to be the Omen up high. It's got to be player one, and he was so clutch in the previous map. This time, though, a little bit more silent on the Omen. Not exactly a signature character, but with Wardell locking him down, there's not much he can do. Gen.G's going to move in. Subroza, though, on the flank. Everything is falling to pieces for this squad. Yes, you're on eco, but this has not been a pretty one.
Definitely not. And we see Gen.G really starting to slip from 4 to 8 at the half. TSM has now clawed back 4 rounds, bringing us even, and it's not looking like Gen.G is going to be stopping them here either.
No, we need to see a shift in gameplay from Gen.G, whether that's going to be aggression or whether that's going to be using utility in different places, maybe shift the player around, try and use your raise to your advantage, try and spam out some of the aggression that TSM are going for. It just needs to be a change of pace right now, because Subroza running around your backline like he owns the damn place and putting TSM up 9-8.
Subroza really putting in work there. Like you said, playing that deep back lurk. He literally just sat in mid and people funneled into him one after another, not expecting him to still be camping the same spot, ultimately netting a 4K there. Gen.G is having a rough time. It's interesting. So I was just about to suggest that this might be the answer. They've had Sage dealing with the B pushes, and now they've switched Cypher over, reversing their defensive configuration in terms of utility. Maybe this will net a better answer for them.
Yeah, this issue is once they run out of utility on B, that's really been it. That's an aggressive paint shell. It's going to force TSM off with only one ability. Now you still have Slord, you still have a wall, and you still have your Sage up to try and stop the push on the other side of the map. TSM are just about to find out exactly what that means as they're lurking outside of A.
Yeah, we have TSM slowly pushing up here. You've got both Drone and the Omen making their way slowly through the attacker's spawn. And you'd think that at this point, Gen.G might be looking to rotate. We've got 5 players from TSM already towards the A site. Effys waiting in the wings now, though, due to that utility reversal. Ready and waiting to wall off tree should the need arise.
And this smoke should prompt a wall relatively soon. There it is. Now TSM low on time, low on places to go, running into all of the utility. The paranoia out, so's the slow orb. TSM can't even move forward if they wanted to. 4 members remain. Hazed fragging out onto Effys. Huynh trading out onto Color, though. It's going to be big here. Denies the site presence, and now the plant's going to go down at Generator. Wardell still set up in main to try and shut anything down. Huynh over the wall. Not able to find all that much with the Blade Storm, but Drone is the man to watch. Lurking just underneath balcony is going to really complicate things here for Gen.G as they look to drop down. They have to deal with Wardell. They have to deal with Drone. They have to deal with Hazed, all with a crossfire on this single position. Now lurking their way around. The Raze and Cypher have found alternate angles. Hazed takes him down one at a time, though, and it's exactly like the pistol round. He's got 3 to his name, holding the exact same position. Just with a different weapon. Looking for a 4th. GMD is going to make him count for his troubles, but a 10th round on the board for TSM. He's more than happy to leave with that.
TSM aren't having any of Gen.G's adaptation, and while it was definitely a better showing, bringing TSM onto their last legs here, Gen.G still needs to find a little bit more if they want to answer this.
I mean, we saw TSM run it back in the previous map, right when things got bad, right when crap at the fan. They were able to pull it out. Gen.G, I like the adaptations they made. They had a really good move from the Rays, switching it over to the B side. I think it worked perfectly. They just weren't able to refrag properly whenever TSM did eventually push onto the A site. It looks like they're going to maintain that, recognizing that it was the right opportunity. They just got to make it count next time.
Definitely. Right idea, wrong execution. I think they need to stick with this strategy, see if it pans out for at least another round. And we'll have to see if this ends up being a true mirror of the first map, in which case we'd be seeing the momentum swing back to Gen.G here right in a moment.
I mean, it's pretty much now or never. Look at this buy from them. It is in pieces. 2 Phantoms to their name, a Frenzy, a Ghost, I mean, a Judge. This is just piecemeal bits of an actual economy that they're trying to get together. But they want to make sure it's gotten together by the time that TSM put an 11th round on the board. So they're making sure they got a little bit extra in the bank if they can pull it out. Player 1, who was incredible in the previous match, has the Phantom and full armor. They're counting him as the hero player, but he's been so quiet lately, Anderzz.
Absolutely. And everybody in this map is playing a little bit atypically from what we'd expect out of them. Player 1, who is an absolute pop-off in the last map, is running 9-15 right now. Cutler, who we gave MVP, is 1-10. Nobody's showing up the way that we expect them to, and so this is really up in the air. Nothing is paring expectations. Obviously, we're in a bit of a pause right now, waiting on information on what exactly the pause is. And of course, as I say that, it looks like we're back into the game, and we'll kick off this round, a critical one for Gen.G to swing momentum back in their favor.
They don't exactly have the tools to do it here. Oh, you're about to be punished for this one. Pushes out. Drone able to find the first one on MkaeL. Can't clean up the second. GMD trading that one out, and that is always going to be a favorable trade when you're trading a Ghost for a Phantom. Cutler looking around the middle of the map, but it's GMD again. The aggression over towards B. And it is not looking pretty for TSM, a round that they should have won by every right. Now slipping through their fingers. What they do have is Cutler holding mid control. He might not be in the kill feed, but he is doing things across the map, some of which are very important. Most notably, this one, though, is player 1 thinks there's somebody there. You can tell by the way he's walking. He's got a sneaking suspicion, but how well is he going to check this angle? As Cutler is holding for the B rotate, doesn't check it enough. Player 1 takes him down. Now the rotate can come through. The spike left in the middle of nowhere here. Hazed looks dazed and confused, trying to peek with the operator, maybe take somebody down here, but it is all just going to be souvenirs for the way, unless he can find 3 more.
I almost think the right play from here is to save. I mean, getting the plant money here with his ultimate is an incredibly good call. He'll likely die for it, but nonetheless, I think economically this was the best route for his team.
He could get aggressive here. If he takes out one of these players without being found, he's in a pretty good position. Oh, and he does! Huynh immediately off the flick from Hazed is going to find the connection. Showstopper out, everything used. Hazed has made it a 1v1. It's far from over yet, Anderzz. One member left to be found, starts to defuse. Hazed knows exactly where it is, sticks half of it, waiting it out. No, doesn't stick the first half. He's got to hold it. Hazed has the shot lined up. His teammates pinging the bong. He completely saves it. 1v4. Hazed on the Omen turns it into an 11-8 lead.
Hazed, you absolute animal. I count him out. I say that the round is over. He's doing it for the economy. He proves me absolutely wrong. Solo Omen ultimate across the map to get the plant. Picks up 3 and clutches the round out. My goodness. What a play out of Hazed. Absolute insanity.
We talked about how important that round was for Gen.G, but I mean, they were so close. Now mentally, you have got to be in the dumps. It's going to take so much to actually recover from that in the next round. They keep this mid, just try and hold on to a little semblance of map control, but they've got enough of it that they're feeling all right. TSM making them feel very uncomfortable, though, with their actual position in the game. Wardell turning it into a 4 versus 4. GMD trades it out, though, nicely. And that A pressure coming from TSM paying off. They're going to step on the gas pedal immediately with that. Hazed looks to close the door and move on forward. Throws a paranoia on through. And there should be a spike play here for TSM. 4 versus nothing in the post plans. They send it to match point.
This might be all she wrote. Only one round separates TSM from yet another grand final.
I mean, no surprises there. They've been playing out of mind all day. Drone is 20-13. This guy has been putting up numbers like this all day. This is absolutely no surprise from him. Now the big question is, what are Gen.G gonna do? They change it up yet again, putting the Sage and the Raze on B, all of their eggs in one basket. And it doesn't look like it's going to pay off.
Yeah, no, this is what happens. You commit your utility sometimes and you just come up empty. Subroza, showing a little bit of presence, will probably coax Gen.G into thinking they may have made the right call. But we've already got 3 players from TSM all the way down A main.
No more chances left.
Another pick here for TSM by the hand of Wardell. They haven't closed things out yet, but it's starting to feel the grip tighten around Gen.G's throat as the spike goes down here. The final post plant that they may get, unless they can clutch it out. MkaeL looking to push onto the high ground. The run it back used by Subroza, looking to get aggressive. Does get shut down, sent back to the site where he came from, but again, the sight lines on this site are so difficult. Hazed in the position where he is shut down. 3 retakes since through the smoke come drone. It's 1 player left. It's just the Cypher. Down he goes. TSM with a flawless round. End the match 2-0.
What a way to close out that map. My goodness. We had to